Hey, brothers, you're listening to the Home Bar Happy Hour. We're talking all about the 80s, and we're talking about the cream rising to the top. The 80s. The all 80s personalities. Ooh, yeah. Let's roll, America.
All right, let's roll indeed. How are you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing great, dude. Even though it's like this slight cloud cover here in Pennsylvania, it's a little warm out. But yeah, speaking of the cream rising to the top, man, my grass is really rising to the top. You know, I put down that fertilizers spread here, and man, this rain is just making it grow, baby, grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, brother.
Well, yeah, we got all that rain. Grass is coming on up. I love it. I hate mowing, but I like seeing the grass grow.
How was your weekend, man? I mean, we had Cinco de Mayo yesterday. It was a Cinco de Mayo weekend.
We did. We had Cinco de Mayo. We also had, I don't know if this is something you're aware of, but it was May the 4th, and Disney released all of the Star Wars movies. They did a movie marathon. So me and my dad started at 8 p.m. and it went all the way until 8 p.m. the next day. We spent 24 hours in a movie theater watching all the Star Wars from episode 1 all the way to the bad ones at episode 7, 8, and 9. But it was fun, man. It was a blast.
Dude,
I love this.
Yeah, that's a good time, man.
Yeah, I love the Star Wars movies.
I do. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I do enjoy them as as far as pop culture and a cinematic. You know, they're good. They're good movies, but
yeah,
it's like the Lord of the Rings. Like I love Lord of the Rings, but you know what I mean. I'm not going around searching for the ring, the one ring.
The one ring. Well, I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan. What I always say, what a wise man once said, there's only one return, and it's of the Jedi. It's not of the King. But it was, it was a lot of fun. It was good to revisit all those movies. And it started with about 220 people. And then I think by the end of the last flick, there was only like 50 of us left. So people were coming in and out and couldn't hang through the whole thing. But it was a good time. I had a blast. It's something I would definitely do again, given the opportunity.
Yeah, that does sound like a good time.
Yeah, and then
but you know me and popcorn though, brother. I'm like, I'd be so I'd probably have a heart attack.
That was like the ultimate hack too. They told us, they were like, hey, a large popcorn and large soda are free refills, and that is like good for this whole time. So you bought like a large popcorn or a large Coke, and you could just keep getting refills throughout the whole 24 hours. And I'm like, well, that's a steal. That's a way to do it.
Yeah, that is a steal. Yeah. Oh my God, dude, I'd be in a coma.
You'd have been tore up with those popcorns for sure.
Oh yeah, dude. But yeah, that's so yeah, I had to house sit at my parents, and I was up in God's country.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was uneventful, but I was just there helping them out and stuff like that. But yeah, so yesterday I came back and had dinner with a few veterans and their significant others, and it was Cinco de Mayo, so had a couple cocktails, you know what I mean, and I just enjoyed it, and then got back here. I think I got back here around like 10, but I continued in my own home bar. But it felt good that I was away for nearly 3 days, so it felt good to be back home.
Yeah, to get back in the home bar and have some drinks.
Absolutely, brother. Dude, they were giving away so much memorabilia for Cinco de Mayo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I got like a T-shirt, a couple koozies, and I got some new bar glasses, man. Some 16 ounces, brother.
Oh, nice, good deal.
Yeah, I think it was like some of them was Corona, and some of the stuff was who else? But hey, so it popped into my mind yesterday as I was getting an Uber over to the restaurant, and that's kind of like those 3 restaurants that sit in the river here in Harrisburg are they're owned by the same they're owned by the same company. And well, the one is we were passing an Uber. We were passing it, and what was it? The one place is like a Southwest or Southwest cuisine restaurant and bar,
Mhm.
and I mean it stays actively, busy as a normal restaurant. But I thought in my head as we were passing it, I was like, is it considered like racist, like that like the place is just booming on Cinco de Mayo day? And I'm like laughing, and I told this to the Uber driver, and he was a black guy. He just started pissing his pants laughing as we were just like driving by. We just saw like elderly white people coming out like, it's just like the one day like everybody goes out to get Mexican food because of the holiday. Now, when I know racist is a very strong charged word these days. I don't mean it to that level. I mean just like in a more funny or humorous way. I thought it was pretty funny going through, but I just wanted to explain that to the audience as they try to get used to our humor.
Yeah. So I think that the issue is just that Mexican food is way too good, and we don't have enough Mexican holidays to celebrate. I don't think it's racist. I think we're just here taking advantage of this beautiful, glorious food that the Mexican people make and prepare. I think we should have more Mexican holidays where we can just eat food. And we actually did make one, right? Taco Tuesday is not a Mexican holiday. That is a white people created thing, just so we can get tacos on Tuesday.
That is a restaurant, unofficial restaurant dubbed, like a bar, bar dubbed thing. It's not like an official holiday. But
in some parts of the world, I would say it is. But yeah, I love it, man. Cinco de Mayo is just a great excuse to get some burritos or fajitas or just anything, man. I love Mexican food is probably my favorite type of food. So bring on Cinco de Mayo. I'm all about it.
I was talking about that last night as I was waiting for the other people in the party to show up. I was talking to that with it's a good shout out to I haven't done it yet, but it's a good shout out to the Bungalow Boys. The Bungalow Boys and I were discussing, and we'll get into this in another, we'll go into the Bungalow Boys at a later in the future, but we were talking about it, and we were talking about the food and stuff like that. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to get into that this summer, like doing like El Pastor tacos, because I got the Blackstone. I got my smokers. I could do like El Pastor tacos, like carne asada, like just doing all this, like, doing like Spanish rice and all this different stuff. And I think I want to get into that this summer. I think it'll be like a new, kind of a new hobby. But, the problem is that when I make this food, nobody's here to eat it. It's just me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to need some people around for me to do it, dude. Like doing, cilantro sauce and, I guess I can just start pickling the red onions now. But yeah, man.
Well, dude, I'll come up and eat it. Just invite me up.
Bro, I make a killer guac. I make a killer guac, man. It's nice, chunky, fresh. Yeah. But
rolling in.
But yeah, like dude, I mean, and dude, all the Mexican restaurants in the country, obviously, dude, they look forward to this holiday, and they make some bank, and not just them, but Corona and the tequila companies, Modelo, like all those Mexican beers, and alcohol, like they make a lot of money too.
Yeah, I like a good Mexican beer. I know you're more of a Miller Lite guy. You're a tried and true Miller Lighter, but I'll take a Modelo every now and then. I'll take a Corona, especially if there's a Fast and the Furious movie coming out. Yeah. Oh, I like Dos Equis. I like the Dos Equis. I think it's called Negrona. I like that a lot, the darker one. And man, when I'm going to Mexico here in a couple weeks. I know you're going later. You go to one of those resorts, that's all they have is Modelo and Dos Equis, and you just drink that all day long, and you'll be a fan of it by the end of your trip. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna. I don't know. I might just stick to the liquor when I go down there, but
yeah, you can.
But yeah, dude. Yeah. But yeah, Mexican food. I love Mexican food. I mean, authentic Mexican food, like the Tex-Mex. So you get to the Tex-Mex, that's like the mixture of Mexican and American. So that's like where you're going to find that a lot down in, obviously down in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Southern California, like right in that vicinity right there.
Well, Southern California is more of the traditional Mexican food because it's so close to Mexico itself. So you have a lot of like Mexican transplants. I mean, that's where like I grew up kind of on Tex-Mex, right? Like chilies and stuff like that. My mom's from Texas. She made like Frito pies and stuff like that. And then when I moved to California, I mean, dude, that was all like real authentic Mexican food. That's where you're going to a truck and you're getting, tacos for $1 a piece. And they're, it's true asada and pollo and carnitas, like the good stuff. But I certainly prefer the true Mexican over the Tex-Mex, but Tex-Mex is okay every now and then too.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, so now it's like we're talking, here it's May, and we do like a lot of spring cleaning and stuff like that. And I wanted to get into when is it a good time to get rid of a couch?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people, and I'm sure you've been in this situation too. You go over to someone's house and you see their couch, and you go, man, that you should have got rid of that couch a while ago. That thing is stained and it smells. Your dog's been chewing holes in it. I mean, it definitely depends on the quality of the couch. If this is a couch you got on Facebook Marketplace for $100, that couch you probably shouldn't have even bought it. It was time to get rid of it the second you got it. But if you're getting a nice like Joybird couch or something, you can go, probably 10 years with it. But once you start getting some smells, couches hold smells. Anytime like you're having to Febreze your couch once a week or something, it's time to get rid of that puppy. It's time to just let that bad boy go,
Yeah, it all depends on how many booty holes you had sitting on that thing and how many people, sleeping on it, sitting on it.
Yeah.
And, doing the funky monkey or, you know what I'm talking about, brother.
Yeah, that's how you get the V-holes on there, by doing the funky monkey.
Yeah. I think my opinion is that's why I got like 2 couches up there that I've had since I think 2013 or 14, somewhere in there. That's what I said. It was like the 10-year mark, but I mean they're not bad couches. Like they can be shifted into garage couches now.
Sure.
Like I could I want to get rid of them. They take up space in the upstairs. So I mean, like I hate like seeing I hate empty space. But yeah, having those couches up there just takes up space and stuff like that. But I think this year is the year where I'm going to be throwing them up on marketplace and giving them away for free for anybody who wants to put them in their garage or maybe maybe just to help out people. Maybe I'll just take it down and give it to like some less fortunate.
Go to a homeless encampment and drop a couch off. That's what I'd do.
Well, yeah, not even there. Maybe I'll just drive down to a local university and just drop it down there on their quad.
Oh, don't do that. The university's going to set it on fire. You have no idea what those kids are doing nowadays.
Little rat bastards.
I'll tell you a funny story. So in 2008, I had a friend going to Millersville University. And so this was 2008. And this was... she was back at school, so whatever it was, end of October. I go up to visit her, and I'm walking in, like, up to her dorm, and in the middle of the quad, there was a couch on fire, just burning in the middle of the quad. And I walk up, and I knock on her door, and she's like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, hey, there's a couch on fire out here. And she goes, yeah, the Phillies won the World Series. And I go, I understand that. I'm looking for correlation. She's like, yeah, someone threw their couch out the window and let it on fire because the Phillies won the World Series. And I'm like, all right, that's how Philly does it, I guess.
Well, they did steal. They commandeered a fire truck temporarily that year.
Yeah, things got wild, man.
Yeah. But everybody, I know I don't want to get off topic here, but just for the listeners out there, Philly's not the only one who got wild in a day. Let's not, pretend like, Philly does get wild, and we are up there. But there's a lot of cities that have gone wild in the past couple decades, and Pittsburgh, Dallas, New York, Boston. So,
Los Angeles went crazy when they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago when I was living there, and that was even worse because the Super Bowl was in LA and they won it.
Yeah.
Me and my wife we just walked down to a bar a few blocks away from our house, watched the game down there. It popped off. They won. We probably stayed for another beer or two and then headed back home. And as we were heading home, it was just cop cars flying everywhere. They had the highway shut down, so you couldn't even get into downtown LA. I'm like, man, I'm glad we didn't go anywhere because we wouldn't have been able to get back home. They had like all the exits and stuff blocked off. We walked back. That city went out. They turned out for it.
Yeah, well, I just don't want to, a lot of people like to live in the moment, and they have a short memory, and they just, with a lot of things. I'm like, well, did you forget about this? They did this,
Yeah.
So nobody's perfect, and yeah, so we're going to move on.
But, nobody's nervous.
Yeah, we are going to move on to a really good topic here. We are going to talk about the best 80s and 90s pop culture personalities. So Joe, I'd like to hear your take if you have one already.
So when you talk about personalities from the 80s and 90s, two people immediately come to mind, and maybe this labels me immediately as white trash because they're the two people that come to my mind, but I don't know if there's any two people more iconic from the 80s and 90s, maybe the 90s specifically. But Jerry Springer and Howard Stern. I feel like those two people just like defined that era. This was before podcasts, before the internet. So the only like form of entertainment people really had were television and radio. And Howard Stern is what you'd listen to on the radio on your way to work. And, it was still heavily censored, right? It wasn't like the days of the internet now where you could just curse and do whatever on a podcast. You had to sneak everything by, but Howard Stern was just constantly pushing the limits and doing new things, doing whatever he could to, just push the envelope of radio. And I don't think like podcasts would really exist in the form they do now if it wasn't for Howard Stern and like what he did for radio, kind of making like a radio personality. And then Jerry Springer, God bless him. He spent so many years as a journalist trying to be a serious journalist and bring hard-hitting news. And then he got his own show, and the show did pretty poorly for about 2 years. And then they just started booking these wild guests, man, just the crazies, bring up like, my 400-pound sister slept with my brother-in-law, and now I'm raising my, sister's 8 babies. And those episodes just started flying off the handle. And Jerry Springer, being an opportunist, was like, we got money here. We can make some dough. And, he rode that for the next, 25, 30 years he was on the air. He created that whole like trashy daytime TV. Just, pinpointing the absolute worst armpit of the country. And I love it, man. I love what he did. What about you, Mike? Who are your favorite personalities from the 80s and 90s?
Oh, absolutely, man. Dude, I wanted to follow up on that. I totally agree with you how they both changed how things are for radio shows and stuff like that. They broke the mold. Everybody just stopped everybody was getting tired of the same old, the black and white type of that bland or that chalky like radio show and stuff like that. Like people want entertainment. People want, and then yes, I agree that they most likely if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have podcasts and humor today. And I'm glad about that. And I'm appreciative. I don't agree with Howard Stern on a lot of things, but I do appreciate and respect him for breaking the mold and creating these outlets for all of us today, because he's most likely responsible. His actions were most likely responsible for how we do things today, and it's socially acceptable. But for me, I'd have to go like in the entertainment industry. I would have to go with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And the Macho Man Randy Savage, the superpowers, brother. Dude, the entertainment value from all that was just hilarious. Macho Man, the late great Macho Man he was incredible, dude. Those guys straight up, like, I don't know, that guy must have been on like steroids and cocaine, because how amped up he used to get. And like, it was so funny, even when he wasn't a in-ring performer, when he was doing commentary ringside, like at a WrestleMania, stuff like that, in his Slim Jim, dude, that attire was just legendary, dude. He would come in like Hulk Hogan coming in the ring in like the WrestleMania, and he was just like, "What's that guy doing in there?" Like, dude, like nobody talks like that. Yeah. It's just so funny when he did it, and then it's like, and then you have like when him and Hulk Hogan joined him, the Mega Powers, yeah, brother. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm going to tell you the Hulkamaniacs are going to run wild when the Madness and Hulkamania join. It's like the universes, brother. They're coming through. And I know what you're talking about, Hulkster. The creams rising to the top. And like it's that bondage, that 80s bond, like, you know what I mean? Like the two brothers, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers in Predators.
Oh, right.
The muscles, sweaty, you know what I mean? The masculinity. And it was just so hilarious. And then when they broke up, it was like how they turned into a rival. That was so hilarious, because like they chose Hulk Hogan. Like Hulk Hogan was having an affair, sleeping with Elizabeth, Macho Man's wife. And it's like Hulk Hogan, you had lust in your eyes, brother. Like, dude, when he said like the lust in his eyes was fucking hilarious. Yeah. And then it goes. Then when he started feuding, he's like, "Oh, the little pukesters over there, and the pukesters over there. And let me tell you, there's no pukesters gonna lay down on the Macho Man Randy Savage." Just utter. It was just pure entertainment. Unfortunately, I never got to witness those, but we have YouTube and everything where we can go through and watch all these, and it's just hilarious. But yeah, I feel like that's where I land. Like the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, like the macho 80s action movies really put it on there. And you really don't get too many good action movies these days. It's more, that's just not like the genre that people are wanting to watch. But maybe it's because they didn't really come up with any huge action movies. But the 80s and 90s were the pinnacle of classic action movies. And it was like some of the stuff like Commando. When Arnold Schwarzenegger threw that saw blade at one of the enemy soldiers and it like buzzed the top of his head, hilarious, dude. Like stuff like that is just so funny. And then like the comebacks, like the trash talk, like what did he say to Dylan, or not Dylan, but that's what Arnold said. He's like, "Come on, Bennett, let's party." Dude, stuff like that is hilarious. And that's why I do. I like the funny masculine action movie type of shit. I'm pretty sure most guys my age we're all the same. We all like that shit. But speaking of like going on about that, I'll give you, if you want to do a follow-up on that.
I was just gonna say, you're definitely right. The 80s were kind of the pinnacle of the action hero star, right? I think we do have some action movies today. We definitely have like action movie heroes, but like our action movie heroes are like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible,
Yes.
And we do have like The Rock is big. Roman Reigns is going to be in a new movie. He's like shooting a flick right now. But back in the 80s, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, and they were making good movies too. I think that's like kind of the difference. You think about Rocky was like just a really incredible flick that catapulted Sly Stallone's career. And Schwarzenegger in The Terminator, and then Schwarzenegger doing turn at like comedy movies, right? Like Twins and Jingle All the Way, stuff like that. Like being able to like kind of show off the the range he has. And you definitely don't get that as much now as you used to.
I think Sylvester Stallone had he was like a hit or miss on his action movies or on his movies. Period. Like he was either awesome. His movies were either awesome or they stunk.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm not saying like they were bad then. I'll watch them now. Like what is the Over the Top? Like I watched that the other day, and I never watched it because it just bad. But it's a funny '80s movie.
Yeah.
And then you want to go into like Arnold. Like I felt like Arnold had more of a successful career, but he didn't have the accolades that Sylvester Stallone got with Rocky, Rambo: First Blood.
Right.
Like Rambo: First Blood that originally wasn't even supposed to be an action movie. That was just supposed to be a drama about Vietnam veterans and what they had to deal with and what they continue to deal with in culture in society. And then Rambo 2 came out. That's when it turned into the '80s action movie. We're throwing like explosive tips, arrows.
Yeah, it's so different when you watch like First Blood and then the rest of the Rambo movies. You're like, these are totally different flicks.
Yeah. Well, I also felt like they mixed a little bit of because he had to go in there and rescue Vietnam POWs that politically the country didn't, because there was that debate was happening at that time where Vietnam was keeping POWs because we didn't pay war reparations to them, and so that was a connection there. Plus, it brought in the act you have Rambo representing the muscle of America, fighting for what's right. That going in there for Vietnam veterans and against at the time the Soviet Union. And Vietnam Force, it was like a perfect enemy for you to look at that time because everybody was hated, the Soviet Union, the evil empire, and everything. But yeah. Speaking of like hilarity and stuff, did you watch the roast of Brady last night?
I did not get to see the roast of Brady. I heard some things. I saw some rumblings on Twitter. I saw there was it was Jeff Ross made a joke that Tom Brady did not like. Tom Brady got up and told him not to say that shit again. What was it against Robert Kraft and him going to the rub and tug joints? Yeah. Apparently that was a little too far for old Tom Brady.
I don't understand why, but
here's what I want to ask you, Mike. I have one question. I haven't watched it yet. I'm sure I will. Did anyone make fun of Tom Brady for the way he kisses his children?
I don't believe so.
They should have, man.
They left that out. I think that would have been too far.
Yeah, I don't know. The roasts are definitely different. Give me a little bit of a recap of it, since I didn't get a chance to see it.
So I got in last night, and I caught the back end of it, and then I just hit the replay button afterwards, and I just watched the entire thing. It started off real strong. They were bringing in podcast comedians and stuff like that to get them boosted up. Some of them were, I don't know. It wasn't like my kind of comedy. So if I'm watching the roast of Tom Brady, I want to see the roast of Tom Brady. I don't want to see comedians coming up there and talk about everybody else, like or going after each other. No, that's not what the roast. Like I want to see you roast this guy.
Yeah, that's what they do. They usually will hit everyone on the dice.
Yeah, it was just, to me, it started off really funny. Like, Kevin Hart was spectacular through the whole thing. Kevin Hart doesn't really, he's not my type of comedian, but let me tell you something. I was pissing my pants last night with him. And then when Jeff was roasting him, that was pretty good. But then it dropped off. Dude, the shocker for me that came through, Will Ferrell and Ron Burgundy came out. Hilarious. Nice. That was hilarious. And everybody was losing it. I also thought it ended really well, too, with Ben Affleck coming out.
Oh, okay.
Ben Affleck was pretty fucking funny. And then Peyton Manning came out. But then he had Patriots play, they were roasting like Gronk and stuff like that. And then Gronk came up and he was pretty funny. I thought Gronk was pretty funny. Julian Edelman was up. Bill Belichick came up and he started saying that was funny. That was good to see. Like you saw Bill Belichick in a different and a different venue and a different atmosphere, and other than football, because he's not usually in front of the camera. He's not when he is in front of the camera. He's like, well, we do what we have to do, with the hoodie and stuff.
Right.
So this was a lighter side of Bill, and he actually did some pretty good jokes, but I just felt like it was just like one giant Patriots roast. It was just like that, like everybody. It wasn't the roast of Tom Brady how I thought it was going to be. It was just one giant Boston suck job. That's basically what it looked like. But you hate them or you love them. Like, I respect them. I hate them. I hate the Patriots, obviously, but I respect them. I respect them for who they are as people and what they do and how they present themselves. And I just respect it. And plus, what they brought to the game. They were controversial and stuff like that, and they definitely talked about it in the roast. I don't want to ruin too much stuff, but yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Here's what I wish. I wish that they would have brought out Eli Manning, Nick Foles, and or Jason Kelce. That would have been hilarious.
The people that beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially like Jason Kelce and his direction and entertainment right now. That would have been a classic for him to come. And then being a Philadelphia Eagle, that would have been a great. That would have been a great one. Our first Super Bowl. Thanks a lot, Tom. And you really didn't come out to shake Nick Foles' hand in the Super Bowl, you cocksucker. Yeah. That would have been really good, especially if Nick Foles came out. If Nick Foles came out, I would have shit my pants. And then just to see him shake his hand or whatever on national TV would have been pretty cool. But again, I guess they didn't want to do that. But the lineup was pretty good. That would have put it over the top as the best roast. Eli Manning coming out telling him how he stole how he roasted him two Super Bowls. Yeah, the only Super Bowls that he lost was 2 against the Giants, 1 against us, correct? 3 out of the 10. Yep. So, but dude, could you imagine? This is a brand new segment, ladies and gentlemen. We are starting can you imagine, or could you imagine? Could you imagine if Stone Cold Steve Austin or Macho Man were to get the late great Macho Man were to get roasted? That's all could you imagine somebody up there roasting Stone Cold Steve Austin sitting there as he's just plowing through beer?
Yeah.
And obviously be in a tire, but what do you think?
I think that could happen. The roasts have definitely changed so much over the year. It used to be just such a private thing. It was the Friars Club, right? That would happen in New York. They would choose someone, and then Comedy Central got involved and started airing it. I don't know if you know this, Mike. The very first roast that was ever live telecast, was ever live broadcast, was done on Comedy Central, and it was of Drew Carey. And this was 30 years ago, back when Drew Carey had his TV show and was just a stand-up comedian. Yep. But that was the very first ever one. That was a fine roast. But I think, I don't know if those guys would ever do it. Not because I don't think they can take a joke. I just think there's not enough heat or beef on those two guys. You know what I mean? There's no real scandals that you can really get them involved with. It was just storylines and stuff they were a part of. But for the most part, they've been pretty clean. And that might be why the Tom Brady roast wasn't as good as some of the other ones, because for all intents and purposes, he's a pretty squeaky clean guy. The best roasts were they did a roast of Chevy Chase one year. And I don't know if you know this, but people hate Chevy Chase. People that he worked with, he was such a jerk on Saturday Night Live. Everyone that worked in the vacation movies absolutely hated him. So that roast was great because he had a lot of stuff. Rob Lowe had a roast, and it was after that sex tape came out and he did all those drugs. That was a great roast. There was a roast of Charlie Sheen. Obviously, you got a ton of material to work with that dude. But yeah, I
Uh,
think it could potentially happen, but I don't know if it would be a good one. What do you think, Mike? Do you think it would go over well?
Actually, to tell you, I like the reverse. I mean, I looked at it as like, Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of the like, the guy who built a reputation by kicking ass and drinking beer and flicking off his boss and all that stuff. So like having him sit there and watching, like having him to endure all this, like the roast, like going after him, and then
Yeah.
him being the performer that he is with the microphone, him coming up afterwards. Dude, could you imagine like Vince McMahon coming out and like talking, like roasting Stone Cold, and Stone Cold came up, like that rivalry that they had?
Well,
But then
Mike, I don't
again,
know if
like
you've
then
been
you're
watching the news, but I don't think Vince McMahon's coming out of anywhere for a long time.
that's what I was saying. But like, could you imagine like Stone Cold like, coming up there and then just opening it up on Vince, like with what he's going through? I would say like having Vince McMahon as a roast, but I don't know if he'd be able to take it because he's like too old. He might have a heart attack or something, or his Smoking a Bandit mustache might fall off.
I
Burt
don't know if
Reynolds mustache.
I don't know if he'd show up because the cops would be waiting outside for him. He's sliding under the radar, you know. He can't do a
Yeah, I
roast
know.
at him or P Diddy right now. That would be like
Or P Diddy. You know who would be a good one? This would be a good one. The Rock.
that would be a good
Everybody
one.
knows The Rock, and he is. I don't want to say he's not controversial. He's controversial in like in the low way, kind of like how Tom Brady is.
Yeah.
Like how he was controversial as an NFL quarterback with the decisions and stuff like that they went through with Spygate and Deflategate and all that stuff. Where you have The Rock and
All right.
all the stuff like how he's like or apparently like he's an asshole or whatever behind the scene or like with other actors and actresses or something like that. That
The
would be
Rock
pretty
is?
cool because it's yeah. I follow a bunch of that, and also in the wrestling world. So, dude, you could have like Emily Blunt coming out and roasting them, and then you can have like Stone Cold Steve Austin come out, and you can
Yeah.
also have like Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg, and the list goes on, man. You
Yeah.
can even have John Cena come out, dude. Everybody knows John Cena, and he's hilarious. He could be
John
funny,
Cena's
dude.
very funny.
Yeah. Another person I think would be a really good one would be I had it in my head. I was a sports figure or a movie, or was it a sports figure or was it a movie figure? I forget. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Joe? Do you like that, having like The Rock up there as for a roast?
I think The Rock would be a great roast because The Rock has made so many bad movies too that you could just tear him
Oh
up
yes.
for Black
Yep, they
Adam,
would tear.
dude. He almost single-handedly destroyed the DC universe with that movie. It was so awful, dude.
I don't think that was his. I don't think that was his doing because I thought he played the character really well. It was just the storyline and whoever.
No, but I
created
mean,
it.
but that's part of a roast, right? Like even if it's not your fault, you're connected with something that people hated. You got to give them shit for it,
Yeah. I don't know what other figures out there that are. I had them in my head.
So
I just forgot about it.
I'll say one thing while you're trying to think of it. The singer Jewel. You remember her?
Yes.
So she didn't get roasted, but she was on a roast, and I saw that Nikki Glazer was one of the roast masters at Tom Brady. So I think it was the Rob Lowe roast. Jewel was there, and Nikki Glazer made one of my favorite jokes of all time. She looked at Jewel and called her Trailer Swift because Jewel she grew up homeless. Dude, I lost it. I was dying at that. I thought that was such a good joke.
I think with the roasts, the only way that they're good, what makes or breaks the roast is the people you bring on and their ability to perform behind the microphone.
Yeah.
So if you start bringing in like wrestlers like The Rock, people that wrestlers like him and John Cena, like where they are a part of pop culture. Like that's like Hulk Hogan and Macho Man back in the 80s. That's what's funny is that when they have a microphone, they have that ability to make people laugh. They can control their emotions on the microphone, and I think that would be pretty good. And then, dude, they have like the best. They have the best comedy, like, and I like that uncensored, gritty, comedy that makes people think like, oh, that's disgusting or whatever. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that Howard Stern broke in. That's the comedy that that's what's funny. I like that gritty comedy. That's what makes me laugh.
Yeah.
You know, the shit that's like, because me personally, I am a ball buster, and I have learned from some of the best in the Army. A lot of our, the BBC. The BBC broke me in as a ball buster, and a lot of my friends will tell you I will go below the belt on a lot of my talk, but man, that's what shocks it. Everybody's saying, oh, fucking what? They call people like, I call my one buddy, him and I got into a sports argument with a fellow bungalow boy, and I called him WAP. And if you don't know what WAP is, it's wet ass pussy by, what is that? Who's the artist? Was it Cardi B?
That was Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, dude, I called him WAP, and dude, it went, that thread was just losing their minds laughing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm not perfect. And dude, when people bust my ball, people have been breaking my balls since the dawn of time.
The dawn of balls.
Dude, that's what evolved me into, taking it. And I'm taking it, dude, there's a few things that you can really piss me off, and I'm not going to tell it because you have to get to know me to understand what pisses me off.
Leave that under wraps.
Yeah, we're going to leave that. We're going to tuck that into next to where they store the Lost Ark in Area 51. But yeah, I mean, dude, I thought what was funny was when Kim Kardashian came up, and then Kevin Hart saying Kim has more beef than Kendrick and Drake right now.
Ooh.
That was, dude, I was losing it. Oh, it was so great. I can't believe that Kim Kardashian actually walked up on stage to roast Tom. She wasn't on there for long. She had like a few short bits, but you could tell she was sipping some suds. So she had a lot of champagne when she was walking there.
And she got booed like crazy, right? Walking out. That's what I heard.
I didn't really follow too much I didn't follow the aftermath of it. I didn't want to look into it too much because I wanted to create and formulate my own opinions without any without the outside opinions influencing my decisions on the show.
Sure.
So
yeah,
everything that we're talking about.
Yeah, she got booed for like a good. I'm assuming Netflix cut some of that out, but yeah, when she walked out, people were booing her like crazy. In LA at the Kia Forum, what a great venue.
Yeah, man. But hey, before we wrap up, we are going. Hey, brothers, this is one thing that you're going to hear is before we wrap up, you can guarantee be sure that you're going to have beef time. Joe, where is the beef, brother? You know my beef. You know what my fucking beef is?
What's your beef, Michael?
People who take pictures and while doing handstands everywhere just for that perfect picture or that perfect video. Speaking of which, it was WAP. WAP. Straight up, especially like dudes, man. Like he's out four-wheeling. WAP is out four-wheeling, and this guy, he's out. I don't know. He's out west, out like Montana or some shit. I don't know where he's at. He's out there. Yeah, he's out there four-wheeling and with a bunch of friends, and I give it to him because he did a handstand and straight up with no wall or anything. That's the only way I can do a handstand is if I can kip up on the wall and then I can just balance myself. Dude, he's a little bit lighter. He's a lot lighter than me, but he's still a big guy. And for him to have the core to actually bring himself up like that was impressive. So I give him respect for that. But bro, that's my beef. You're a dude. Come on, man. Like he got it, and it was on the side of a cliff too, so it had to be like the perfect video. I'm surprised it wasn't like blasted all over social media because it like thinks he's like the next superstar or something like that. He's just all he is he's just a wet ass pussy. That's what I got. Yeah, but other people like dude, like girls out on the beach and shit like that, like doing handstands or they're doing like like all the perfect pictures and stuff like that. I just roll my eyes. I'm like, we get it. you're at the beach and you're making these perfect videos. I mean, you aren't Kim Kardashian. I don't know what kind of followers. Motherfucker, we don't even have any fucking followers. That many followers yet to do handstands. I don't know. What do you think, Joe? Do you think we should start doing handstands? Let's start doing handstands at every bar we go to.
Well, I'm not going to be doing any handstands. I can tell you that. I don't have the fortitude to do handstands like that. It does not work for someone like me.
I think the only stand that you're going to be seeing between me and Joe, we're going to be doing keg stands.
Yeah, I could probably do a keg stand.
From us. Yeah,
I'd hit that up for sure.
So that's our beef time, man. That completes it. Everything. We'll give it over to you, Joe, to close it out as always.
Yeah, let's do it. I think we did another episode. That was great, Mike. Lots of beef, lots of good stuff. Yeah, it's Home Bar Happy Hour. You can, if you had any questions for us, email us at homebarhappyhour@gmail.com. A little bit of some big news wherever you're listening to this now. Maybe you're already listening on somewhere else, but we are now on damn near every single podcast service. We are even on Audible, Mike. I think this content is really going to reach the audiobook listeners. So when you're done that new Rachel Maddow book, you come right over to Home Bar Happy Hour. And me and Mike will be here for you. But yeah, that's it for us. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely, brother. Don't lay me out here. The cream's rising to the top. Oh, you get that cream that goes into your coffee, brother, and then it comes out here on the Home Bar Happy Hour. We're just gonna tear everybody apart. The mega powers are coming together. Oh yeah. Check you later, America.